Hello, welcome. We have with us former Vice President of India, Hamid Ansari. He has come out with a new book, By Many a Happy Accident, which is truly a reflection and a recollection of his life, his childhood, his time as an IFS officer, as a visiting professor, chairman of the National Minorities Commission, and as the Vice President of India. Let's get in directly. So, what are your observations about India's foreign policy? Do you think there is a cohesive strategy?
I would think so, yes.
Why do you say so?
Because there has been a certain consistency in Indian foreign policy,
Okay.
which the standard vocabulary was non-alignment, but people are tending to discard standard vocabularies, new times, new vocabulary, new dictionaries, but it doesn't matter. The approach is the same, that it is a approach to the world and world problems, not from the point of view of this person or that person, this country or that country, but in India's judgment and in India's interest.
Okay.
Foreign policy is not altruistic. Foreign policy is national interest.
Has the law and the rhetoric around the Citizenship Amendment Bill impacted our ties with our neighbors and our standing in the world?
Not with so much with our neighbors as
Bangladesh?
there have been some expressions of misgiving. I think the debate on that is still to be settled. It hasn't been settled yet. I mean, yes, it was passed into law, signed by the Rashtrapati ji,
Yes.
yet to be implemented.
Yes.
Why?
Why?
Good question. You see, every law requires a set of rules,
Yes.
and those rules also have to go back to Parliament,
Yes.
and there is a committee.
There's an extension that's been given yesterday till July 9th.
No, that is the reason being that set of rules has to be produced within a matter of 5 months or 6 months.
6 months.
And if it is not produced, then there is a committee in Lok Sabha and a committee on Rajya Sabha called Committee on Subordinate Legislation. Subordinate legislation means the rules.
Yes.
The rules have to be made, submitted to the legislature, and then scrutinized by the legislature. Whether there is anything in the rules which goes beyond what the Act says. So it is still work in progress, and I think there are perceptions on it which need to be clarified. Government has responded to it in some measure, whether it is to satisfaction of everybody in the citizen body. You see, the point is very simple. Let's not look at, there is no dearth of identities in India.
Yeah.
Absolutely no dearth. Okay. Start from there, go down to Kanyakumari, and nothing but identities,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah. In Kerala itself, we have so many identities.
Each one of us. I'm a member of a club. I have an identity. I speak a certain language. I have an identity. Plus on, so on, so forth. But the uniting thing is, I'm an Indian. The uniting thing is, I'm an Indian citizen.
But that is being questioned with this act.
If this is being questioned, then I have a right and a duty to remonstrate.
Yes.
Because my identity is my identity. It's not bestowed on me. You know, it's not somebody's gift.
Yeah.
That's all. So it's a debate, since it is still an open society, we'll keep debating it.
Another problem today is the India-China standoff. How do you think the tension will ease, and do you think we will be able to go back to the days before Doklam and Galwan Valley issues?
It takes two hands to clap.
Okay.
I think the governments have managed it by and large well. I mean, in the period of the 90s, and then particularly the period of Dr. Manmohan Singh's government, they negotiated with great diligence certain approaches. That we had a problem, yes, nobody can deny it. How to address that problem, it will take time to resolve it, but making sure that it doesn't get out of hand. So that was the approach,
Then.
and I think till the recent incident, that approach worked.
But now?
There has been a bit of derailment right now, but as Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has said quite often enough lately, that we have to keep talking. So we'll keep talking.
But you don't think there's a going back to pre-Doklam and Galvan Valley?
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. It depends on your perception of the other party, the other party's perception of us, and where do we find a meeting point.
You have visited China when Xi was
I went there as Vice President.
Yes. And what were your observations?
No, I had very positive conversations there and very warm reception. So there's no problem in that. But no, I mean, policy is one thing. Perceptions is one thing, policy is another, and then implementation is a third part. It's an ongoing process. It's not something that is open and shut.
You were in Iran when the Babri Masjid was demolished in 1992. The Iranian authorities had demonstrated strongly then. The then government had asked you to convey that the Babri Masjid, the mosque shall be rebuilt, is what you have written in the book here. Did you ever think that was possible with the growing Hindu fanaticism? Did you believe it, and now?
I was instructed to convey a message, I conveyed a message.
But did you believe it? Did you
Not a question of my believing a government directive.
Okay. Did you think it is possible? Did you at that point think it is possible?
Well, of course it is possible. It is also possible to make it resort to a lot of sophistry, because it didn't say it will be built tomorrow, yesterday, day before. So there will be a lot of sophistry, and if you ask the present day government, they'll say yes, of course, but Supreme Court has done this, so follow what Supreme Court has done. I mean, you can do a lot of clever talking. That's it.
But the India of today will not see it.
I don't know. I don't know at what pace they are going to work, and
you were a part of the working group on Kashmir in 2006. Now with the abrogation of Article 370 and the house arrest of leaders and the sustained political immobility in Jammu and Kashmir, do you think we have really addressed the issues? We have not, and why?
Well, you see, my view was, when it was done, it is not that constitutional provisions cannot be amended or changed, but there is a process, there is a procedure. My view was that procedure was not followed. Okay. Why it was not done, everybody has a view. You have a view, I have a view.
How has it hampered Kashmir?
Public perceptions in Kashmir. Listen to Kashmiri leaders, people who have been chief ministers, people who have been leaders of political parties. After all, Mrs. Mahbooba Mufti, till the other day, was not only chief minister, she was also an ally in an alliance with the present ruling party. Okay?
Yes.
When I was fighting the battle with our good neighbors Pakistan in New York in 1992-93, amongst the high-powered political component of our delegation was Mr. Dr. Farooq Abdullah. So was the late Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
Yeah, you
so,
mentioned it.
Point is, things could have been done better.
Hardly a day goes by without us reading of the Hindutva mobs demonizing Muslims. Now, love jihad, ghar wapsi, and anti-conversion laws have become the norm. How do you view all of this?
The first thing is, are the legal procedures being followed?
I do not think so.
No, I know that they have not been followed. You see, it's just an executive fiat which is presented as a law and implemented because you are the executive.
Yes.
But how do you prevent such? I mean, it is such an absurdity to tell somebody in the outside world, love jihad. Are you going to prevent people from doing this because of you have this faith or that faith? So this is absurdity, but it is an absurdity arising out of an obsession, number one. Number two, to divert attention from what are the real problems of society.
What are the real problems?
Development, poverty, that's what real problems are. Any part of India,
Yes.
north, south, east, west, what is the problem? This is the problem. It's not love jihad, it's not okay,
Conversion.
some people do convert, so they convert as long as the conversion is voluntary and
Yes.
without exercise of pressure. That's okay. The preaching of your faith, if you are a preacher,
Yes.
you have a right under the Constitution to preach. There was a big debate in the Constituent Assembly about it.
Yes.
The wording of Article 25 is very clear on this.
Have we become an intolerant society? Are we better or worse than before?
We've certainly create many instances of intolerance, enhanced intolerance can be seen now, can have been experienced in last few years. I mean, there has been a certain amount of intolerance always,
Yes.
okay, but quantitatively there has been an increase. Qualitatively, because of state support or state tolerance, there's been a qualitative change.
Yes.
What I expect from the ruler is that the ruler will not justify something which is not right, right in the wider sense of the term, not only in the narrow legal framework, but more than that.
Okay. But hasn't that worsened the situation for Muslims more than the others?
I think it's worsened the situation for all religious minorities.
Yes, it has.
Christians have faced this problem in a big way in different parts of the country. After all, what happened in Orissa some years back, not only Orissa, it's been happening
In
all
Tamil
over
Nadu, in Chhattisgarh.
elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it's all public knowledge. I don't have to sort of cite instances.
During your tenure as the NMC chairperson in 2006, a study was done on those who had lost everything in the 2002 Godhra riots. Do you think the victims have gotten justice,
No.
like you have spoken?
No.
And have the Muslims overcome it, or have they been marginalized in Gujarat?
Well, both.
So they have not gotten justice.
The effective relief exercise by state government, which is subject of a lot of serious studies, has not been delivered by the state government.
Okay.
Okay, there are no
Yes.
two views about it. There's enough factual data.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
in many ways they have rebuilt themselves. Like victims of any such situation, whether it is a natural disaster
Or the
Or-
pogrom in Delhi also.
or the program in Delhi. I mean, we have many examples. You don't have to dilate on it. Everybody knows it. So it depends on the intent. The intent is not there.
So the families had to do it themselves.
They have done it in various measures, but there has been ghettoization, unquestionably. I know many cases
And
where
that has
people have moved into certain localities because that is only safe there. It's not only in
Gujarat.
Gujarat, it's happening all over the country.
Yes. It's in Delhi too.
Yes, in Delhi too.
I mean, I can say about Delhi because I live here.
Yeah, I know. I'm very well aware of it.
And do you think they will ever see justice? In terms of Gujarat, I'm talking about Delhi.
Gujarat is 18 years behind us,
Yes,
isn't it? A whole generation has grown up.
yes,
They have learned to survive one way or the other
but that
under
has also-
conditions of injustice. But you see, religious minorities the world over have suffered this kind of situation. What about pogroms in Europe?
Yes,
The Jewish communities in various parts of Europe suffered immensely for centuries.
yes, that's true.
They were even not allowed to practice certain professions.
Yeah,
I went to, as vice president, to the Czech Republic,
yes,
and I was talking to somebody there, and he said there was a time here when if you were of Jewish faith, you could only indulge in agriculture as a profession, be a farmer.
okay,
So intelligent people that they were, educated people as they were, they invented a profession. This is the interesting part.
okay,
Impression was money lending.
yes,
Huh? We read all about
yes,
Shylock,
yes,
huh? But that was an invention under compulsion.
okay,
So religious minorities or any kind of minority in any society have to be sufficiently alert to see where opportunities exist or can be made to exist.
okay. So that they also come on par with the others, because it does not, it gives, they are behind, they are not given a head start in life.
No, they are not. They have to pick it up and grab it.
For not siding with the BJP in the Rajya Sabha, once they came to power, they have attacked you both in and outside the house. How did you manage it and navigate it?
But it was not my job to side with any side.
It wasn't, but they thought
I
so.
I made this amply clear from the first day. I'm a referee in a hockey match.
Yes,
Okay? The referee observes the match very closely. Referee has a whistle and a rule book. But he's not a player.
no,
So doesn't matter who this on this side and who's on this side. I had nothing to do with the agendas of governments. I mean, it is a misunderstanding of the role of the chair. The chair does not have a vote and does not emanate from any side.
you have mentioned that the term secularism itself has disappeared from the government vocabulary. You have
I
mentioned
based myself on the election manifesto of
2019 of
19.
yes, 19 of
It
BJP,
was there
yes.
in 2014.
14, yes.
It was not there in 19.
The Sankalp
Yeah,
Patra,
yeah.
it was not there. So, is India a secular nation only in name then? What are your fears for the country, since you've mentioned it in the
Secularism is part of the constitution.
yes,
If it is not being observed,
yes,
then we are not implementing a part of the constitution.
yes.
That's all.
Would you want to elaborate a little more?
Well, see it in everyday life, that's all. If you don't pay, it's after all a concept.
Yes,
You know, it's not,
a set of rules or
yes, it's not
It's-
something that you pick it up and eat it.
yes,
If you don't practice it, and the practice are well defined, you know, there is a great deal of literature available on Indian perception of secularism, which is not the perception of, let's say, the French, for example. For the French, it is the state being irreligious.
yes,
Our founding fathers knew and concluded that the Indian society cannot be forced to be irreligious.
yes,
But what the Indian society can do is to treat all religions equally. That's all.
And what are your fears then for the country?
Just that.
That no one is and no one will be?
We have to see how it manifests itself, but some of the practices which are now emanating from state governments. Now, why are they emanating? Why aren't they being converted into national legislation? After all, the law on conversion is not a matter for one state. It happens in Kerala also, it happens in Bengal also, it happens right here in Delhi. It's not something which happens again and again and again. But if it does happen, under the rights of citizens, it is their right.
The BJP government is forcing religious majoritarianism on the functioning of our democracy. What will its lasting effect and be, and the damage it will cost us?
It will damage the fabric of society. It will damage the concept of fraternity. It will damage the concept of equality, and in consequence damage the dispensation of justice, which is the right of every citizen, irrespective of his or her faith.
Okay. For 7 decades, we have been discussing about constitutional rights. Now we are compelled to discuss constitutional duties. Do you think several of our institutions are not fulfilling their constitutional duties?
Well, this section 51, Article 51A came many years ago in a constitutional amendment. Those duties are there, they are good duties, and they should be implemented. It should be implemented at all levels of society, and the consciousness of those duties must be inculcated.
Are our institutions failing?
I think so. To some extent they are. Some extent, I mean, say, take it cultivating a scientific temper. Very difficult in a very hypocrisy, tradition-minded society. But it's necessary to be there as a reminder.
Yes.
That's all.
So how will it affect us? If the institutions are not doing their duty, it means that it will affect the poorer
You see,
of
the
the
institutions are what? The institutions are not just the Parliament or Supreme
No,
Court.
it's not.
It's right down to schools.
Yes.
So, school curricula has to pay attention to it. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.